turn back on.
Hi, welcome to Recovery Talks. My name is George O'Toole, and I'm your host of Recovery Talks. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is since July 27th, 2010, I haven't had to use or abuse drugs in any way, and because of that, my life's gotten pretty good today. I have a special guest today. With me is Tarah, who was just recently released from incarceration. And we're going to talk about our past, what it's like to find recovery in prison, and maintaining recovery and what it takes outside in society, and how we manage to have and live a positive life. And I welcome Tarah.
Good afternoon, George. I'm Tarah, and I'm a person in recovery. And what that means is I no longer depend on drugs and alcohol to make it through the day.
And how about we start by telling some of your story?
Okay, like I said, I never thought I'd be here, sitting here, and talking with you, George. But I said things started years ago when I was about 11 years old. I got my first taste of alcohol and drugs, but I didn't start depending on it until I was around 14 years old. After I lost custody of my daughter, I was a teenage mother at 14. I drink every day because of the shame, the guilt, and sometimes resentment against my own mom. At 16 years old, I got pregnant again with my son. My aunt, I have a great aunt who took custody of him also. But again, there was still guilt and shame. I always hung out on the streets with my friends where I was accepted, cool, and things. So we drank every day. And if I had problems, we drank. Let's go get a 40, let's hang out. But at the end of the night, I woke up with shame and guilt, and to keep going on with my life, I would continue to do that. Things turned around drastically at the age of 24 after I lost my twin sister. I did all my nevers. I'm not going to say what drugs, but it got progressive. The disease got progressive. I had a day where I just wanted to give up. I dropped my kids off to my family. I had my kids that day. I dropped them off to my family. I committed 2 robberies, and with that, I got sentenced to life with 12 to serve. Inside prison, things didn't change. I brought that person inside with me. My hurt turns to anger very quickly. Well, back then it did, before recovery, and I brought that into the prison. So I would fight, do drugs, go to seg, fight, do drugs, go back to segregation. I overdosed in 2006 inside the prison. And when I woke up, I was in the hospital. I was in segregation for 187 days. During that time in segregation, I was thinking, I don't want to be like this anymore. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn, but I made a commitment to myself. Inside prison, we click up. The cool people with the cool people, the nerdy people, we call them, with the nerdy people, people that I was better than. But I got away from that crowd, and I would sit by myself sometimes if I had to. I'd go to every Bible study, every class they had. I left prison in 2011. I wanted to do well. I did well for a while. I didn't know recovery still. I thought recovery was AA and NA, and that was the only path. I relapsed a few times. This past 2013, in May, I had to turn myself into prison for driving without a license. It was the hottest thing I ever did. It was the day after my mom's funeral. In August, I was in women's minimum security, and Holly Sakala came in from Anchor, and she started it's called Dry Dock. It's Anchor behind the walls. And I was like, is this real? This can't be real. But I went down there. They had a Recovery Coach 101 class, and I did the class, and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. And September, they had a rally for recovery, and I was all in it. By then I was like, this is for me, this is what I'd like to do. So we started Dry Dock every Tuesday and every Thursday. We'd meet downstairs, and Holly would come and teach us different things about recovery. We did the book called Healing the Addicted Brain. We did fun activities, whereas we did arts and crafts, poetry. We even threw a Christmas party. I was so inspired by Holly herself and Jim. It was just mind blowing. And when somebody told me they believed in me and they seen me for not what I did in the past, but who I was becoming, it lit a fire inside me. So I'd bring that recovery upstairs to the what we call EMOD. It went rampant. I would help my fellow inmates. If they was having a bad day, I'd talk to them. I'd just encourage them. I would, if they needed assistance and get into Providence Center or sober housing, I'd talk to the counselors on their behalf or sit with them. It was awesome. So Holly believed in me, and she says, "Tarah, when you go home, I want you to come to Anchor." And I was already in. I was like, I'm going. So I got out on 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday. She said,
So before we go on to after that, when you were in prison, what I really wanted to know was when you were in prison. I'm also a person who was in prison for a long time.
Yes.
We had to have a facade, and we had to put up this wall, and we had to act like, not show feelings, or not show emotions, or any of that. And I know for me, it interfered with me ever getting any recovery or following the path of righteousness.
Yes.
How was that for you?
I did that for so many years, and it didn't work out. So it came to the point where is whether I want to live, I say, or die. But I knew I didn't want to be that way. So I did. People that I used to get down with would laugh at me, make jokes of me, and deep inside I was mad, but in my head I knew that they didn't, I say it like this, plain out, they didn't count. Right now it's about me. And I knew I had to leave there one day. And I didn't want to be that person no more.
But that's a hard thing to do in prison.
Yeah.
Because people can take advantage of that.
And they did. I had people that would never even mess with me before come and test me. And I had to walk away. But I tell you what, when I walked away, I felt like a champion, because it came to a point where I wasn't scared. I know I wasn't scared of anybody, but I was scared about going back to the streets and going back for a long time. So the human didn't fear me. I was scared of myself, my actions, and coming back to prison. So it was by any means necessary. So
and the purpose of Anchor Recovery Community Center is that we are a peer-to-peer support community. And it's peer-to-peers like us, like you and I. We get together, we talk, we help each other out, we give each other resources, we talk about our problems, et cetera, et cetera. And Anchor brought this idea inside the walls, in what you call a dry dock, and that's how you met.
Yes.
And it was also peer-to-peer support for each other. And it was my understanding that you were very popular among the other women and brought in a lot of women into recovery who otherwise may not have gotten recovery.
True.
And how do you feel about that?
I came to the point where I knew I was a leader in other ways, because when I did things, the bad things, I had people following me in that. So I reversed them. And because of the way I used to be, people were watching me. This can't be real. And then they seen it was real. And the warden turned and called me a model inmate instead of a menace to her prison. People jumped on that bandwagon. You know what I mean? And I think it was so much about when we come into prison, I always go back to how I felt. I felt ashamed. I felt guilty. My parents, I made my parents look bad. My kids are shameful, and I know how they felt. So I had the job of connecting with the women when they first came in. I worked in clothing. So I was able to give them their uniforms and things, but also talk to them while they're sitting in the holding cell. So they come in, I dress them, and I sit in the holding cell and talk to them. And I tell them if they need anything, you come upstairs and talk to me. I would tell them about recovery, dry dock, and just lead by example, and always be there. Always put myself aside, no matter what I was doing, to listen to somebody. But I also had the opportunity of having Providence Center on my mod, so the counselors and things. So when I needed help, even though I was a leader, when I needed help, I could knock on the door and ask for help myself, because even though I'm a leader, I know that I need help myself, so it came full circle.
And we don't put ourselves on a pedestal.
No, it's, for me, George, it's like...
we have to realize that we're even,
exactly.
That we're all alike. It doesn't matter if we have 1 day clean or 100 days clean. We're all on the same level, and we're all trying to reach for the same thing, and that's another day of sobriety.
Exactly. And for me, it was always about being humble and not being better than, I'm on your level. I'm never better than you. I also like to see the good in things, and if I can't find nothing good, I'm still grateful. Gratefulness, humbleness, and just helps me to be content.
So now in 2011, actually 2010, the end of 2010, I think we met.
2011.
Was it 2011?
Yeah.
All right, 2011, and we met in a rehabilitation center.
Yes.
And this particular rehabilitation center, when I had gotten out of prison, and you were just about completing it.
Yes.
And I came out with nothing, and I kind of still had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And you came right up to me, and we had never met before. We may have heard of each other before, but you knew that I needed clothes and whatnot, and you came right up. You went around looking for clothes, and you brought me pants and everything else, and shirts, and a big bag of clothes. And I forever remember that. Forever remember that. I mean, that meant the world to me. And it wasn't like one ex-convict helping another ex-convict. It was something more. And we've had a connection. And you did relapse after that time.
Yeah, sure did.
Went back, and then through the dry dock and everything, and now you're back,
yes.
Stronger than ever.
Yes.
What was it like to get out of prison and come back into society? For me, I understand. For me, when I was released from prison, I had a hard time being around people. I always thought everybody was different. I was different than everybody else. It was hard to sit around in crowds. I couldn't really talk. People would talk about things, and I felt different.
Yes.
How was that like? What was that for you?
After the 5 years, I never shared what I felt back then, but I used to, like you said, the anxiety of being around a lot of people. I know I relapsed because the anxiety that I carried. I'd be around a group of people and act like things were all right. I'd ride in the car and act like things were all right. I never told anybody what's going on with me. I'd have problems and I wouldn't share them, or have anybody I can trust with, because everybody, I had to, like sometimes in jail at that time, I couldn't trust nobody. Sometimes you come out not being able to trust, but this time is different. I'm telling on myself, or not so much telling on myself. I'm not scared to cry, like yesterday I had to call a friend of mine and cry, and it's okay today. In recovery, I really found people that sincerely want the best for me. No, and not judging me,
You're an emotional person, and so you're out now in society. You're out in society. You're living in recovery. Mm-hmm. You're actually doing a lot of volunteer with Anchor,
yes.
With the girls that are already coming out, yes. Or out,
yes.
From dry dock,
yes.
Working with them.
Yes.
Your goal is maybe one day work in the field of recovery.
Yes.
And what do you do for fun? What your life consists of?
Well, my favorite thing to do was fish.
Yeah. And
I haven't been able to fish yet, but since being at the center, I'm a people person. So since being at the center, I get to be around people that I look and I see that who've been where I've been, and it excites me. I get to talk to people, play cards, get on the computer. It being a community center right now is what I'm enjoying. And when I'm able to fish, I'll go fishing. I love being around my family, my little niece, my sisters. It just brings so much joy to me. How
about your children?
The children, I have a son who's 19 and a daughter that's 22. My son's in college. My daughter has 2 children, and they're my everything. And they look up to me, and they tell me, "Ma, you're a strong woman, Ma." And I used to be like, very, like I said, shameful and guiltful, and like thinking they would never forgive me. And I talked to my daughter one day, and I said, I hope you forgive me. And she says, "Ma, forgive you for what?" And I started crying. I'm like, for not being there. She says, and that helped me to go on a lot. But I'm very close to my children, and I love my kids.
I understand that because I was estranged from my sister for many, many years. Uh-huh. And I did a lot of bad. I hurt my family a lot in and out of prison for a long time. And today I have the best relationship with my baby sister.
Yes.
you don't realize it, but we regain the trust.
Yes.
We develop a trust that people trust us.
Yes.
They not only are willing to call us when they're in trouble,
yes,
but they're willing to leave their kids with us. They're willing to give us their house keys.
Yes.
They're willing to give us their car keys.
Yes.
I know for me, when I was in active addiction, nobody would give me their car keys. Nobody would give me their house keys. If they knew I was around the town, they would want to lock the doors.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends today. A lot of people in my network that I could call at any time, 24 hours a day, if I'm hurting. And as a person who not only was in prison for a long time, but a person in recovery, I've learned to open up and to release that pain. And when I'm feeling something that's just not right, I know that we have to share it.
That's right.
And who better than somebody with somebody that's kind of been through the same thing that I've been through. I still have a tendency at times to leave water running in my house because when I was in prison, we had the push buttons.
The sinks. Mm-hmm.
So I still have that tendency of leaving the water running.
Yes.
Or because it would go off on its own, or waiting for the bell to ring for lunch,
yes,
or something like that, But as the time goes by, those habits break. And it becomes easier and easier. There was a time that I could never sit, never mind in front of a camera, but sit in front of one person and talk, because I had to keep that facade up. That, I'm a man, I'm a convict, and that's the way it is.
I'm a tough guy.
Today I'm not living like that. Today I understand that I'm a person in long-term recovery, but I'm also a person who lives in society. Not only that, I vote today. I have medical coverage today. I can go to a doctor anytime.
Pay taxes?
I pay taxes. All my taxes, my car taxes. I register vehicles. I have a legal license.
Because of recovery.
Because of recovery and because I choose to do the next right thing no matter what. And, people don't understand that coming out of prison, we are challenges. We have road barriers that we need to walk over. But at the same time, nobody is going to give us those, nobody's going to pat us on the back and say it's going to be okay. Here's a pass. We have to work. We have to walk. We have to climb those barriers.
Yes. It's people like you, George, who are not only my own example, but you're a great example. I look up to guys like you, women like you, because you are a productive member of society, and that stigma dregs of society. People don't understand, society that doesn't understand, that sticks with us. But until I became a person in recovery, when I became a person in recovery, now I'm like, yeah, I know who I am. I'm a leader, I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I'm smart, I'm a comforter. I can encourage people. I'm not ashamed anymore.
You're a woman of dignity.
I'm a woman of dignity, woman of honor. I'm not ashamed anymore. People say sometimes, you walk around with that GPS bracelet. Yes. I'm not showing it off, but if I want to wear shorts in the summer, I'm not going to hide. Because I have people who know who I am. I'm not a thief. I'm not a liar. I'm not a cheater. I'm loyal. I'm faithful to my friends and my family. I'm a good mother. I'm an aunt. I'm a grandmother. And I have people that believe in me, and I'm willing. And I also started a group at Anchor called the Homecomers Group. And it's peer-to-peer recovery support for people who've been where we've been. It's group support. Some people say, I did 20 days in jail. Oh, it was bad. Okay, I understand. And, I'm not minimizing that, but when people spend extensive times, even 6 months in prison, there's a lot to go with it. So I want to support us all and meet each other's needs. Sometimes in this group we might need people to talk to. You know what I mean? We have the resources inside of Anchor, whereas if we just did that group and someone says, I have to leave my wife's house, I don't know where to go, I'm trying to keep my recovery, I hear that. And I turn to people like you, George.
It's important. It's just the same thing with employment. Yes, it's a roadblock for us, But at the same time, there are things out there that we can use, like a tax break. Companies, you tell a company that, you know what, you maybe have a $2,400 a year tax break on me if you hire me.
Yes.
You know, and you keep me for 28 days and you file the paperwork within 28 days, your company may have a $2,400 tax break. And that's a big thing for some companies, especially small businesses.
Yes.
You know, I've been in the restaurant business my whole life, and I loved it. And if it wasn't for people that knew my work ethic, you know, I might have had struggle too, but they knew my work ethic, and they gave me a chance.
Yes.
You know, and they followed me till this day. And they know that, or if I ever need a job, I can go to these people. Okay, one of my employers I had actually robbed.
Wow.
And he turned around and not only forgave me, but gave me another job, another chance. Do you know what that did to me? Do you know how that made me feel? You know, this was after I became in recovery. Yes. As a convict, that I was able to put all that stigma down, put those feelings down. I don't consider myself an ex-convict anymore. You know, I consider myself a person in recovery, a person of society.
And I think the shame for myself too, and probably for you too, is you're a junkie, you're this, you're that. But when you become to understand that I do have a disease. When I got the whole understanding of the disease of addiction, the neurological disorder part, a lot of the shame went away. Mm-hmm. I felt bad for some of the things I've done, but now I understand why I did these things. Well, I'm not a bad person. I'm not this, I'm not that. You know, I do have a disease, but now that I know how I have a disease, I found a way to keep that disease under arrest. I need people. My path is, different from a lot of others. Like, my recovery is faith-based, networking with others and family, and keeping a good support system around me, but I found a way to arrest that disease and always to keep that up front. I never get prideful and say, I got this. And I have my days where I open that window and look back and go, whew, I don't want to be there. So what am I going to do today?
So now, everywhere you've been, everything you've done, okay, everything you've been through, do you believe that you're responsible for your own recovery?
Totally.
And do you believe that even though you have a disease,
yes,
you control whether you relapse or not?
Totally.
Okay.
It's before I didn't have a choice. In active addiction, when I was active, my brain was in survival mode. A person in the desert striving to get water. Hungry, gotta feed it, gotta feed that animal, and everybody better get out my way. I've been sober for a while. Brain's repaired, chemicals functioning, I have a choice. If I do anything today, it was a conscious choice.
Conscious choice, exactly.
Yes.
And that's why we can't use that as an excuse anymore.
It's not an excuse.
And I tell people, I don't use my addiction as an excuse anymore.
No, it's not an excuse.
I'm responsible for my own recovery. I've learned a lot in my recovery, and I know what it takes.
Yes.
When I have a bad day, I do what I'm supposed to do. I contact the people that I'm supposed to contact, okay, and I work on that problem. I don't let it marinate inside of me.
Yes.
I get it out. I deal with it. Whether it be talk to a coworker, a friend, a sponsor, a recovery coach, whatever it may be. Get it out, share it, get rid of it. I don't own it no more. And not only does that keep me sober, but I continue to do the next right thing no matter what. Yeah. And that's the T. That's one of the keys.
No matter what.
It doesn't mean that we won't have urges. It doesn't mean that we won't have temptations.
Sure.
It doesn't mean, that everything's going to be hunky-dory or that we're going to become millionaires or any of that. We still have to work for it every day.
Exactly.
And it's being grateful for what I have. Yes. I learned how to be grateful for what I have.
Yes.
And learn for that what I have is, I earned. Everything that I have in my possession is something that I earned.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know if that's how you feel.
I feel it's the same way, George. Right now I don't have much, but I'm rich. As far as material things, I'm rich right now. I got the greatest people in my life right now, George. And sometimes I tell myself, do you deserve these things? And I talk to Holly, my friend, sometime, and I say, wow, why me? And she said to me one day, why not you? And I'm like, yeah, with tears in my eyes in my cell. Yeah, why not me? You know, today, I'm worth it, you know.
You are worth it.
I'm worth it. Before, I couldn't see that, but only because of recovery that I can see clearly now. Like you said, before, I was prideful. I got this. You know, I had to put on the facade of being perfect, and I can't let nobody know what's wrong with me. Well, now I say, perfection is my enemy. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna have my days. I'm gonna have my thoughts. But I have the toolbox and the skills to go through them days. And I look at my days in days. I don't go too far ahead. I plan a couple days ahead, but I don't go too far ahead because the future's kind of scary. The past, I go back there to see how I don't want to live or how I want to be, but to remind me where I came from.
Exactly.
Today's the day. What are you going to do today? In each couple hours a day. And if I keep it that way, it makes it very simple for me.
But it's also nice though. You can set small goals.
Yeah, small. That's
for
what
the
I have.
future.
Very small.
Whatever
goals.
it may be.
Yeah, I have a vision.
You can have a vision.
I have
There's
a vision.
nothing wrong with that. You know, just so it's out there. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just not. We don't set visions where we're going to have a new Mercedes or a brand new motorcycle
or I don't try to get overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I have a goal. And so today, I'm going to do a few things to reach that goal. Tomorrow, a few things to reach that goal. But to go too far ahead, I'm like, I get overwhelmed. So little steps today, next day. And then I'm pretty sure in a couple years, that vision's going to be, I'll be in that vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have so much going on at Anchor. And what's Anchor do for your recovery as far as coming out into society and reunification with society? What has Anchor done for you since you've been out?
Anchor's done everything for me in there. I'm just bringing it out here. And when I walk into Anchor, I walk in smiling. I feel like it's home. And because I feel like it's home, I'll always come back. I never have people smirk at me, look down on me, or what she doing, or, you know. To me, it's nothing but love. I never been disrespected. I love it. It's like, it's home. That's all I can say is home. And home is the place you want to be, and that's where I want to be.
And recovery is about having fun. It's not about having just working on your recovery and working on you and your feelings.
Exactly.
It's about learning how to live a new life, a new lifestyle.
Right.
And that's what I love about it.
Yes.
You know, we have cookouts, we have rallies, we have gatherings, we go on trips. We had recently went on a trip to I experienced my first powwow, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you know, the serenity that I got out of it, and the spirituality that I got out of it.
Yes.
I was able to take my niece with me and had a blast, had a very good time.
That's what matters.
And that's where it is today.
That's what matters.
I can be there for people. Yes. We can be there for people. We're there for each other. We do everything that we need to do, and we live, and that's what it's about. And I'm grateful to have you in my life today, from the past and always.
Yes.
And God bless you. And you know, I don't know what else to say. You know, you can count on me anytime. You can call on me anytime you need me. And I know it's the same with you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. This has been Recovery Talks, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.